Today we're going to be attempting to make some ancient clay pottery just using clay, wooden tools, and water. So I'm going to walk you through the steps and we'll see how it goes. So basically right now I'm just going to show you the materials I'm going to be using today. So first off, here we have the clay block, which is just any old clay block that you could buy in an art store. And then over here we have some basic wooden tools to be using today. I'm pretty sure these ancient civilizations had access to wooden tools for shaping the clay. And we have here just some water to work the clay. And that's it. First off, we're gonna start by getting a piece of clay, rolling it into a ball. And the purpose of this is to make a base by squishing it onto the platform that you're working on. So I'm gonna squish it on here. The only problem with this platform is that the clay sticks onto it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the platform a little high so I could just cut it from the bottom when I'm done. So right here we have a nice looking base. And now all we're gonna do is cut off edges. And the purpose of this is so that the base is somewhat circular, because we don't want it looking crazy. Just like that. Alright, so now that we have the base done, with the leftover scraps from the edges, we're going to use that to make coils. And to make coils is basically the same process. We're going to be making it circular, well actually in a cylindrical shape, by rolling it and rolling it. Alright, so now that we have the coil done, what we're going to do with the base is we're going to take a wooden tool and do something called scoring. And by doing that, we're just basically roughening up the edges. And the purpose of this is so that when you place the coil down, it actually sticks. Without doing the scoring, the structure of the pottery would be weaker. So for this part too, we're going to score the coil as well, just like this. And what I like to do is just add a little bit of water. Okay, now we're gonna apply the coil just like that, and we're basically gonna mold it onto the base that we had worked on previously, just like that. And don't worry about this excess, we'll just cut that right off and just blend it right in. And we're gonna repeat this process until we get a shape that we're somewhat happy with. So I'll be right back. Alright, now that we have it to a reasonable height, we're gonna start making the pot a little stronger. And by doing so, we're gonna take these little scraps, and on the inside here, we're just gonna place them. And this is just to like kind of fuse the clay together so it's a little stronger than just coils, just like that. And we'll just add a little water just to smoothen things out. Alright, so we're back, and now that the pot has gotten a little bigger, we're going to focus on the insides now. And we've added a little bit of water, and this is just to smoothen out the insides like I was doing before. And with this tool, I'm just going to smoothen it out. And what I'm trying to do is make the edges a little stretched out, so it's more of a bowl like. So we're just gonna repeat the process, and when there's little gaps in the wall, just with the scrap clay, we're gonna add it on and kind of mix it together and then flatten it out with this tool. Alright, so now that the base is pretty much done, I went ahead and made some smaller coils, and this is really just for decorative purposes. We're gonna roll them up into little spirals just like this. And we're also gonna score the bottoms. We're just gonna attach it right onto the base as well, just like that. And we're gonna repeat the process for all these smaller coils. And as I said, this is just for decorative purposes, but the pot itself can be used to hold liquid, maybe water or even food, who knows. But
yeah, we're just gonna repeat this process with these smaller coils, just like so. And we'll be back when it's done. Okay, so now we're back. We finished the decorative portion on the top of the pot, as you can see. So in order for water not to fall out, we're gonna move on to the last step, which is to apply the last coil on top. And this is just so that the top layer has kind of a solid base, so that when something is inside the pot, it wouldn't slip out. And really all that's left to do is to take some scrap clay, and by adding it on the inside, just closing up the gaps as so. And we'll be back when this whole process is finished out and smoothened. Alright, now that everything is smoothened out, we're gonna start working on the outside, and this is really the last part, so don't worry. The last part here, we're just gonna smoothen these coils so it looks a little bit solid, and afterwards I'll show you the results. Alright, so we're back and we're all done basically. All there's left to do is to get the actual pot off of the base. So remember how we had that extra layer of thickness? It's gonna come in handy now to take this whole thing off, just like that. And now you can lift it up just like that. And of course we'd need to fire it in order for it to get a little harder and durable. But this is a basic clay pot from ancient times. So we're doing a little extra right now by firing the pottery. As you can see, the tinder in the wood is smoldering hot and it's red. So hopefully this is enough to make the pot fired without crumbling. We'll see. Alright, we're back after a few hours and this is the outcome. Most of the pot was shattered in the fire. It is solid though, so I guess it was somewhat successful. Unfortunately, I can't really do much with this. I mean, it probably is still usable, maybe to carry food or something, I'm not sure. But yeah, to wrap this up, all I could say is the people who were in the profession of pottery in ancient times were probably held with importance, because this is not an easy task to do. This actually is very time consuming, and there were probably master potters or pot makers, because this is not easy. Another thing I learned was that the ability to make pots must have been very tedious, because this probably required a lot of trial and error, because as you can see, for the most part I thought I was doing everything right, but obviously that wasn't the case. So it must have been a lot of trial and error, using the right materials, the right methods, and the construction of a proper kiln. This is just a small pit fire that I use. And lastly, we as a species, like humans, must have come a long way from making pots to how ceramics is today. Also, this is just an example, but pots nowadays, as you may know, have glazes, different designs and patterns, and we even evolved into using the potter's wheel, which makes things a lot easier and efficient. And to wrap this up, this was a very good learning experience for me. I've taken pottery classes before, modern ones where we have access to potter's wheels and better tools, and this is similar to things I've made before, but I never tried it on my own, and it didn't come out that good. So
It's really interesting and mind-boggling how people in ancient times were able to construct beautiful designs and pots that were usable. That's very interesting. But yeah, that's all.